Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for February 16, 2024. We're going to be doing our post Super Bowl 58 thoughts here, Thursday thoughts, as we usually do on Thursday with QuackyTake. And we're going to get into some other stuff, maybe some Super Bowl 59 futures, maybe some other futures, and maybe some miscellaneous talk that'll be a lot of fun, as usually is on Thursday. Joined once again, as I said, by QuackyTake. Tom, how are you? And how was your Super Bowl viewing experience?
Oh, good, man. It's always the best part of my week being on here. You never know where we're going to go with the banter. Hey, I'll tell you what, the Super Bowl ended up, it's funny. I was saying last week, I take no pleasure in reporting that I wasn't looking forward to the game at all. And it ended up being a really great game. So I was very happy. And you know what else I noticed? It was pretty like the show that is the Super Bowl. It was pretty efficient. Like there wasn't like too many like long commercial breaks. Like I don't know. It moved along pretty well. Like we were saying last week, sometimes it's like, for the love of everything that is sacred, start the damn game. Like, come on. But no, it ended up being a great game. And actually, I put $5 before the game that it would go into overtime at 8-1. I had a weird feeling. Nice. So it's just a $5 bet. But hey, I'll take what I can get. But glad that the outcome was what it was. It was just a great game, and looking forward to unpacking it a bit with you.
Yeah, for sure. And before we get to that, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would mean a lot to us. If you really want to help support the show, please consider super chats. We had a great one from K Making Eagle on Tuesday for $10. As I always say, these YouTube ads pay absolutely nothing. Well, not absolutely nothing, like $1. So we could use all the help we get to keep the show going. And anytime you guys do that, it really means a lot to us. Just
we appreciate it.
Yeah, really. I mean, we even talk about it like after the show. We're like, wow, I can't believe that super chat. So,
we're very grateful, and it'll help me get out from under the overpass. So we appreciate you.
That's step one here, and then abandoning the cardboard boxes would be nice too in this economy. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the Super Bowl. Like Jacob and I talked about that on Tuesday. But I remember you saying that you were not looking forward to watching the game. And I kind of wondered, I'm like, did Quacky end up watching Groundhog Day instead? Or did he start watching Game of Thrones season 1? But I know that you watched the game because we got I saw some text from you during the game and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, like, what was your like overall impression? Before we get to that, Slew says, "What is the QuackyTake on Shanahan electing to receive the start overtime?" Yeah, we're actually going to get into that. That's one of the topics.
Okay.
The overpass of the van down by the river.
Yeah. What are we going to do to get you back on track? Good reference there, Alex. Appreciate you. How you doing, man? What's up, Slew? Mike, how are you?
Rest in peace, Chris Farley, one of the all-time greatest.
Did you know, real quick aside, since you brought that up, did you know that, like David Spade and Christina Applegate and the late great Phil Hartman, I can't remember who played the mom now off the top of my head. They didn't know exactly what Chris Farley was going to do. They knew he had like a new character, but they didn't really know. Like I saw like a little documentary on that. So yeah, if
really?
You don't know what we're talking about, the van down by the river, like a short like documentary. It was really interesting. The van down by the river, one of the most legendary SNL skits. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. They had no clue, and like that's why you can see them laughing, like especially because they didn't know what it was going to be. So
yeah, I mean, if you're like 25 or younger listening to this, you may not even know what that is. So yeah, I would definitely recommend going to YouTube or at least after the show and searching "Van Down by the River" with Chris Farley. One of the most legendary skits on SNL. Back when SNL used to be good, and it's not anymore, unfortunately. But so impressions on the game, and then we'll get to the overtime stuff. But general impressions on how the game was. I know you said it was exciting, but I know like what are your thoughts overall?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, if the 49ers had won, do you think all I could think throughout the game was, if the 49ers win this, is Juwan Jennings going to be MVP? And if the Chiefs win this, is Butker going to get MVP? There was a period of at least 2 quarters, time period of at least 2 quarters where I thought that. I mean, do you think Juwan Jennings would have gotten it if they won? I mean, a touchdown pass and a reception.
Yeah, and he drew that penalty on was it 3rd and 12? I think you have to give it to him, like, because like McCaffrey's the only other guy that you could give it to because Purdy didn't have the stats. Ayuk and Samuel didn't do much. I think, I definitely think it was Jennings. He would have been one of those weird MVP winners like Dexter Jackson or Larry Brown or Malcolm Smith, who probably would have gotten a big contract out of it for no reason. A team would have been talking themselves into signing him as like, hey, this guy's could be a number 2 receiver, right? And then he would have been like one of the all-time bust signings, I think. So I think him not winning MVP really saved one team a lot of money. I don't know who, but it would save someone a lot of money.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I really thought that maybe if once it got to overtime, if San Francisco didn't score and then the Chiefs came down and kicked a game-winning field goal, I mean, I guess they have to give it to Mahomes. I mean, how can you not, especially with like, obviously they're trying to build a legacy around him and it's going quite well, but you know what I mean? Like, are you really going to give away one of his, like, it's the narrative will he ever catch Brady? You think they're going to give it? I don't know. It would just be strange to give it to a kicker, I guess, with such, an obvious future Hall of Famer and what they're, there's an agenda of sorts to it, but I think you could have made the argument for him if the situation I just described came to fruition.
Yeah. I thought that at the time when it was 10-6, and I even tweeted this out, I said, if the Chiefs get 2 more field goals and win 12-10, is Bucker going to win MVP? And
I saw that.
Like most people said yes, and like one person was like, "Of course." Like, who else would it be? I'm like, yeah, I guess. It's just so weird for a kicker to win MVP. But in that scenario, I definitely think it would have been. But obviously, Mahomes had several major drives, including the one in overtime and the one before overtime started. I mean, he was just amazing. And someone even asked me, they're like, I know it's still way too early, and his half his career is still ahead of him, maybe even more. But is Mahomes the second best quarterback of all time right now behind Brady? And I'm like, well, you have to include Joe Montana. So like if you have like Brady, Montana, you could maybe argue Mahomes third at this point, because like there are 3 other quarterbacks who have more Super Bowl wins than he does. It's Brady, Montana, and Terry Bradshaw. And I don't think anyone's putting Bradshaw over Mahomes because that was all Steeler defense. Right. So I think that you have to hear the argument. I mean, John Elway with 2, Peyton Manning, obviously, so many great names, Johnny Unitas, etc. Like, but I think he has to be in the conversation. So, definitely. I mean, this is a dynasty, like as they made a point in saying. So,
right. But I don't want to unpack this necessarily too far because we could be talking all night, but. I mean, if you think Brady's number 1 because if you're going by rings, I mean, I definitely think that like Mahomes is a more here's the thing, like with Brady, like the GOAT argument, like, do I think he's the greatest of all time? Sure. But do I think he's the most talented quarterback? Definitely not. So, I mean, he definitely has, he has a lot more accolades and more rings, but like, I definitely think Mahomes is like the better quarterback though, overall. And like, maybe he'll catch him, maybe he won't, but I don't want to get like a heated debate going here on the,
Yeah, it wouldn't be a heated debate for me. Like, I feel like you can make the case.
I'm just joking.
I know you can make the case for like so many quarterbacks, but I think you at least like can entertain the notion that he is number 3 right now. But I agree. Like he's physically way more talented than Brady. Like I loved him coming out of Texas Tech. I just thought that like if he had a good coach or a great coach even to coach him up, that he would really become like a great quarterback in the NFL. I didn't think he'd be this amazing, but I just thought with like Andy Reid's like track record, like he's always taken like bad quarterbacks and make them okay. He's always taken okay quarterbacks and made them good. He's taken good quarterbacks, made them great. And then I was thought like if he gets someone to Mahomes' talent level, and like I knew how like smart Mahomes was and stuff like that, I was like, this has a chance to be amazing. So they really complement each other really well, and it's good for Mahomes that Reid's going to be sticking around. Like Reid, I initially thought Reid was like 70 or 72, and like he's going to retire soon. But he's only 65, so like he's like 5 more years if you could do the math to get to 70. So like Mahomes maybe could get another ring or 2 in there, and then suddenly he's at 4. And like he's kind of staring down Brady with the second half of his career, but like we'll see if he can play into his 40s. Like that'll be like pretty key in trying to catch Brady.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think once he wins 2 more, then it'll be like on high alert, because then he's really if he could get 2 more like pretty quickly, then it's like within as these things go, relatively easier striking distance. I just. Oh, okay. Alex here is asking, who's the greatest quarterback that never won a Super? I have to go with Dan Marino.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's definitely, man, it's crazy. Just like that. That's what I think about. Like when people talk about the Brady argument for like the GOAT. And don't get me wrong, like I definitely think Brady's a great player, and I definitely think he's one of if not the greatest of all time. But like, there's no way like he could do like athletically like what Dan Marino can do, or you know what I mean, in my opinion. So I got to go with Marino. He only got there once. Who did they lose to? It was San Francisco, wasn't it? They got crushed.
Yeah, it was the second year, and
wasn't it like 55-14 or maybe it wasn't?
No, it was 38-16, I think.
I mean, it was a blowout, but
those Niners teams are amazing. So
for sure, and I think like that era of the Dolphins. I'm not like super well versed on early like those early Marino, but I feel like they were a team. I mean, the Aaron Rodgers era Packers did get one ring, but it's like they had so many chances and they were like right there, like that team. They were the only team to beat the '85 Bears, and then they lost in the AFC Championship game to the Patriots, who just got absolutely smoked. Eason threw for like 7 yards in that Super Bowl. They never had a chance. I always felt like that was the Dolphins' like biggest missed opportunity in '85. They would have played that great the '85 Bears team, who maybe in my opinion is one of the greatest NFL teams of all time. They could have had a shot that year, so they had their chances too. Is what I'm getting at. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the other question was like, who's the greatest quarterback to never play in the Super Bowl? John's saying Andrew Luck or Dan Fouts, greatest to not get there. I don't know. There's so many great ones who just never got there. It's hard to name one at the moment, but off the top of my head. But I have to think about it. But
I mean, I think you could. I will not maybe not the greatest to not get there, but prime Michael Vick was really something, and even he had a really good year with the Eagles that year. I'm not saying he's in the conversation of the greatest to never get there, but I mean, I'll tell you what, my favorite NFL player of all time, not a quarterback, but my favorite NFL player of all time that never got a ring was Randy Moss. Oh man, yeah. He had so many chances, obviously on that undefeated Patriots team. Oh, that 98 Vikings team. That 98 Vikings team is the best. They didn't win a ring. That's the best team I've ever seen in my lifetime. That was rough.
Yeah,
I don't mean to go off on tangents. Go ahead.
No, I've told that story before where like I just assumed that they would hit the field goal, and like I was super hungry because I had swim meet or something like that, and I just like walked away from the TV, like just because I took it for granted like so much. But I was so shocking that they missed the Super Bowl or they lost the game and they didn't get to the Super Bowl because like that Broncos Vikings hypothetical matchup would have been amazing. Instead, we got Broncos Falcons, which was one of the most lopsided Super Bowls.
34-19. 34-19. It wasn't even that close.
Yeah, right. It wasn't even that close. For quarterbacks to never get to the Super Bowl, I think Dan Fouts, Warren Moon has to be there. Phillip Rivers, who's like almost got there in a torn ACL. It's kind of insane. It's kind of insane that he played through a torn ACL. I think those are some of the few. Sue says after 49ers kicked the field goal in overtime, he texted my brother. Actually, Andy Reid wishes he had Donovan McNabb right now.
Oh man, remember McNabb threw up in the huddle in the Super Bowl.
Yep. I remember. I remember that clearly. It was quite the choking performance. 49ers had him right where they wanted them, and they blew it. So there's a lot of controversy with this overtime decision that the 49ers like they took the ball. And there was video. I don't know if you guys saw the video today, but it surfaced that like some of the players on the Niners didn't even know that the Chiefs would get the ball, even if they scored a touchdown. So like I know you have something to say about that. So,
well, first off, like, what do you? How do you not know? Like the refs explain it to you,
Right.
like just a second ago, pal. But also, like, what would it have meant? I mean, even with the new rules, I mean, if it was still the the regular season rules, or I mean, whatever, or the old rules, whatever you want to call it, like, I don't know. I actually don't know if it's either or. But like, even if they only kicked a field goal, like they're going to get the ball anyway. So like, what would it? It's not like the outcome of the game like change. I mean, what would they have tried harder to get a touchdown then? Like, you know what I mean? Like the Chiefs were going to get the ball, old rules or new rules, just after a field goal. So I just don't understand for them to say, like, for some players to say like they didn't know the rules. Like, how would it have come into play? I guess it would have, like, how would it have played out different? I guess for them.
Well, I think that they may have made the decision to have the Chiefs go first in overtime, because then like you're not going to be as aggressive on fourth down and field goal range. Like, what if the Chiefs kick the field goal and then like the Niners have that advantage where like they would go for it on a fourth down potentially, or if it was like super close, or they could have tied it or whatever. But I don't know. I talked about this, Jacob, on Tuesday. Like, I don't know if like what the right way to go is, because like even if you get the ball first and you score a touchdown, the other team could go for two at the end, and like you kind of have to decide whether you want to see that or not. So I don't know if it's right to get the ball with these new rules. Jacob said it's like 50.4% chance to win if you get the ball first. So like I guess you take it first, but then I don't know. It really depends on how good your offense too is. It's like if you have a bad offense, maybe you just kick the ball off in overtime. So
well, I think you got to take the ball. I mean, I think if you put the pressure on them. If you take the ball second and you go down a touchdown, you can only hope to tie. I mean, unless you're gonna go for two. I mean, that would be that'd be pretty ballsy. But
I thought they were going to do it. Honestly, I thought if the Niners scored a touchdown, I thought the Chiefs would have gone for two.
Well, maybe, but then if you only, okay, so let's say they don't go for two there and they just tie it. Now you're going to give the other team the ball like back in sudden death. Now the other team's in the driver's seat.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I definitely see both ways, but it's I just don't see. I just don't see like how them not knowing, saying they didn't know the rules like really changed much. But I would, that's my argument for taking the ball first. But geez, how about MVS scored a touchdown. I'm a big fan of the man. Mm-hmm. And then Hardman. Geez, what I think is so cool. Think of how long, like, I mean, all these, they've been playing since they're kids. And you dream of like so many, probably 18 million times, in your backyard, like scoring the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl, like to end the game. Like, how many other times does that happen other than like, I guess James White, like a walk, like a true like walk-off touchdown. James White in the only other overtime Super Bowl, the Patriots and Falcons. But it's like, geez, can you imagine being like Hardman's, like you just scored like the walk-off game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl? It's like, my God, man, do you realize what you've just done?
Yeah,
that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, or like, okay, Malcolm Butler was another one. I remember seeing Malcolm Butler when he made that interception. They were like, he like was overcome like physically with the emotion. His teammates had to like hold him up, and he was crying. It's like, dude, I'd feel the same way. It's like, do you realize what you've just done? Like you will be remembered forever now because of that. Like, and I mean, maybe in less terms Hardman, but like, I don't know. I just think that's cool, like especially for like a guy you wouldn't expect it from. So I don't know. I thought that was good for him. So I enjoy.
I like the tweet where by Scott Mason from Play Like a Jet, because Mecole Hardman was on the Jets when he scored initially. He was like, "Wow, Mecole Hardman has done more for the Chiefs than Allen Lazard did all year for the Jets." So, kind of throwing shade at Lazard, who was just terrible. Yeah, but I hear you saying, and like also going back to the players not knowing the rules. It's not the first time. Remember, McNabb didn't know if that games could end in ties. I don't.
That was old overtime rules too, where it was true sudden death. A field goal would walk it off.
Right. Yeah, but he didn't even know a game could end in a tie.
He goes, "Oh, it's the Super Bowl that ended in a tie." It's like, dude, stop talking.
I know. Yeah, he just made it. He made it worse. It's so mind boggling that like you'd think if you were playing a game, you would know the rules, right? That's like the first thing. Like you would be like, and like the refs, like you said, they explained it to the players, and it's just so remarkable that the players just didn't listen at all to the officials. But
to what degree do you think that's coaching too? Because let's be honest, like to explain the concept of it, like okay, like obviously, like either the players that said they didn't know the rules, either they weren't listening or they didn't understand. But really, if you took like 10 minutes tops to explain that, like, and like this line was what, 1.5, 2. It's like, this is probably going to be a close game. The coaches probably know it's going to be a close game. You'd think that they'd be like, hey guys, just so you know, did you know the rules are different now in overtime? That would take 10 minutes max to explain. So right. I wonder it could just be players trying to save face because, sour grapes because they lost. But I feel like that's on coaching a little bit too. It's not like a time consuming thing to explain. It might be something you want to know in case, the biggest game of your life potentially goes to overtime. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah. I mean, let's just face it. Like a lot of these guys aren't the smartest people. And so like, I kind of remember back in school when like, we have to do an assignment and the teacher would like say what we needed to do. And then like after class, I'd be talking to someone like one of the, like a dumb kid or whatever. He'd be like, so wait, what do we have to do again? And like, come on, man. You just like the teachers just explain it. Like you weren't paying attention. So I think it's like one of those things where they just either weren't listening or they were just kind of like too dumb to comprehend the rules, but
maybe I went to college at UCF with this kid, and he was we had to give like a lot of speeches and presentations, and if y'all couldn't tell, I like to talk. I mean, public speaking is one of my passions. I love to talk. So like, and this kid wasn't that good of a speaker, but he would call me up every week. Like we had to give a presentation every week. He would just call me up and be like, what should I say? Like, dude, like at least come up with something. So like, I don't know. I mean, like there's probably people, I guess that's true. There's probably a lot of people that just, there's probably some people on the team that just can't grasp the concept either. Maybe on the Chiefs too, but they won. So it doesn't come up, Yeah.
Reminds me of this one time in college. It was I think it was a journalism ethics class or something like that.
Yeah. They don't teach that anymore.
No, they don't. Or people just, again, not paying attention. But I was in a group with like this one guy and this girl, absolute smoke show. Like she and I were friends, but she had a boyfriend the entire time. But we went out for her 21st birthday the night before. And we had this like oral presentation that we had to give in class, and like the plan was to like meet like 45 minutes to an hour before class to like go over what we had to do, and she just never showed. And I called her, and I called her twice. The second time I called her, she picked up. She's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, oh no, and she's like, "I'm dying." I'm like, "Oh no!" I went to her dorm and like got her, and like she's like, well, I don't know what to say. Tell me what to say.
Oh my God.
So I highlighted, like, I gave her like a printout that like the teacher gave us. And so I highlighted like something that he wrote. I'm like, hey, when I'm done, say this. She's like, okay. And so like she read back everything the teacher gave us in a printout. I thought we were cooked. Like I was like, man, he's gonna give us like an F for this. Cause like I was even unprepared because like I was counting on like her to like give some information to me, like, and that never happened. And so like we got like an 88 on the presentation. He's like some good thoughts, maybe a little more research into this. And I'm like wow, like I just recited like what you gave us on a paper.
That's a really good grade considering.
I know. And like actually, as it's funny because I bumped into her at the airport. This is back in 2013. I was just visiting Charlie. I was coming back from Tampa. I bumped into her in the Tampa airport just randomly, and like I brought up that presentation. She's like, "Oh my God, I have no idea what happened that day." So,
oh my God,
this is so funny. Anyway,
that's pretty impressive. An 88 under those circumstances, that's up there.
Yeah.
That should go in the Scholastic Hall of Fame.
That'll be in my Jerks to the College Years books. So,
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to read that one.
Yeah. John says that's a good point about McNabb. Was he playing underrated at the time? He was. Yes.
That was 08-09 against the Bengals. They tied.
Right. Yeah, against Bengals.
Like 16-16, I think maybe.
Yep. 16-16. Yep.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Quacky still got it. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was truly remarkable that he didn't know like games could end in ties. Like he's never played Madden before. Like you'd know from that by itself, right? Sue says Chiefs getting the ball second if 49ers score. That means 4th and 6 from their 45, and they go for it, and they had the best quarterback in the league. If they get the ball first, they certainly punt. Yeah, I think that's like the argument for like having the other team go first. It's like they're going to be less aggressive. But I could certainly see the case for both, you know. And Mike's saying, when does the superfluous Super Bowl discussion end? And when do we get to the meat of the podcast? 1 point safety part.
Yeah, we're getting into it now. That made me think of your story just now, Walt. Made me think it was one of my finer hours at college. So we were on spring break. This is spring 2018. And so every week, like a group had to give like a presentation, you know, and it was worth like 40% of the, or maybe like 35% of the grade. It's a big presentation. But like 1 week, the teacher was sick. So like we didn't have class. So the class was once a week. And then 1 week, like the projector like didn't work. So like we couldn't even get any, like the other team's PowerPoint or Prezi up there. So our team was scheduled to go like the Monday after spring break. But I was like, wait, we're not going this week, right? Because there's two teams that, you know, we're like catching back up from those other two teams. I was like, there's no way that we're going like on Monday. It's like Friday. I'm thinking about this. And it's like, there's no way we're going. Everyone's out of town except for me. So I was like, just on a whim, like I'll email the teacher just to make sure we're not. I know we're not, but I'll just make sure. And she was like, nope, you're expected to go. I was like, you've got it. We haven't done anything. No one is here. Like everyone's on like vacation. I did the whole, and it's in like 3 days. Or no, it was I found out Saturday night. It was St. Patrick's Day. And I was painting the town red in downtown Orlando. It was back in my drinking heyday. And I ended up doing the entire, like I did the whole project for everyone. I was like, okay, like we could all meet an hour before the class. It's a big presentation. I was like, you say this, you say this, like I spent like 10 hours on it. We got an A. It was... I still can't believe I pulled that rabbit out of my hat. And I remember these two buddies from my group, Chad and Rico. They're like, "Dude, we're going out like in downtown, like they paid for everything. Like you came through clutch, man. That was one of my finer hours. I still can't believe I pulled that off." But
it reminds me of I was in a Russian translation class in my final year at Penn State. I was minoring in Russian, so. We had to like translate like books or like newspaper articles from Russian to English, and like they were like long articles. Like it's ridiculous. And so I initially like me and my friend in that class were like, you know what, let's split it in half, because like what the teacher would do is like he would call on us to read our translations. Like that's all he would do. That's how he would grade us. So I was like, how about you take half and I'll take half, and then we'll just combine, right? It's like, okay. And so like then a third guy jumped in. We're like, okay, we'll split this into thirds. And this, keep in mind, this is a small class. It's like an 11-person class. It's like eventually we got 2 more people to come in. So now we're splitting into fifths. And then like we got a couple more people to come in. And then at this point, we're like, there are only 4 people not participating in this. Let's just get everyone in. I was the ringleader here. I had the whole class splitting assignments 11 ways. They would all email it to me, their own section. And then I'd put it all together and send it back out to an email. So that is that's how we saved a lot of time, man. Wow. I did a lot of drinking my final year at Penn State, so we really needed a shortcut. Let's say that.
Was that the year that we lived next door to each other?
No, that was my 4th year.
Oh, that was the year after. Okay. 2
years after. I was there for 6 years, not 5.
Wait, that was your 4th year there? Oh, okay.
No, sorry. No, sorry. You're right. That was my 5th year. That was my 5th year that we lived next to each other. Okay, so it was the year after. Yeah. I
remember. Just go now. We're getting to the meat of the show now here, Mike. Yeah, when Walt and I lived next door to each other, I do too. I don't know. I mean, That's impressive to me. I mean, how close are you to being fluent, would you say?
Oh, I can speak fluently. My grammar kind of sucks. It's not too bad, but it sucks a little bit. Reading is tougher. I can read. It's just like the words are so long. But I'll say this about Russian is like the good part about it is everything you read is or like like if you sound out a word, that's how it's written. There are no like silent e's like in English. There are no like double L's like in Spanish or whatever. Everything like if you sound out a word, that's exactly how it's spelled, like every single time. So like I'll say that. However, there's like 11 ways to say the number 2. And it's just like based on grammar. And like you just have to like change it. It's like dva, dve, dvuch, dvumya, dvumyami. Like there's dvoye. There's so many ways to say 2, and you have to like know which way to do it. And like there's like fewer ways to say other numbers, but like 2 is kind of a special number. It's weird. But yeah, it's
so Russian is like you're like the Russian version of people who don't know the difference between there, and there sort of thing. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, except there's like 10 other ones. Imagine there being like 10 theirs. Like
yeah, that's a little more confusing. No, that's good. Yeah, I remember the year that we lived. I was thinking about this story. I was actually telling the story on my stream earlier. So for those of you who didn't know that, so like I originally went to school for music. I went for music education and music performance. I played clarinet, saxophone, and I used to sing for a band. And on a whim, like my buddy who went to this prestigious school, the Hart Conservatory of Music, it's not like Juilliard or Eastman, but it's maybe a step down from that. And I didn't think I was a good enough player to get into that. But long story short, I contacted the teacher and he said it was Easter weekend that year, 2005. He's like, can you do like an audition tape and like mail it in? And I was like, oh gee. So I recorded it in my dorm when we lived next door. I wonder if you were there, like, and you might have heard it because everyone else was gone. I submitted this tape thinking there's no way I'll make it. I didn't hear from the guy for 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, he emails me. He's like, sorry, Tom, like I've been really sick. Like your tape was excellent. He's like, if you would have auditioned at the regular time, you would have been the best one. And I ended up, Penn State found out and they gave me like a pretty nice scholarship to stay.
Wow.
So
nice.
Because I got accepted. Yeah, I got accepted in the Hart Conservatory of Music for clarinet performance. That's 100% true story.
Wow.
But
cool.
Yeah, it was cool because I just went to Penn State and they're like, we'll give you this much, like if you stay. I was like, done. So I never transferred. But so one of my back in my band nerd days was a feather in my cap that paid off a long time ago. I don't know why I was just thinking of that story, but I thought that maybe you were next door because almost the whole floor was gone. So I knew I could play my instrument in the dorm because typically that wouldn't work. It was like the perfect weekend for it to happen. Otherwise, I don't know where I would have done it. So, but I still want it because I never like knocked on your door like to ask you like, yo, like I'm going to be playing and recording something over here. But you never said anything. So either you didn't care or you were gone.
I mean, I generally didn't care. Like, I mean, I was used to loud opera being blasted from 3 doors down. So
yeah,
right. Fat opera message man as well, I talked about him a lot in the book, so you guys can read all about that. With so many characters, so many crazy people on the floor. Like the one guy I saved from a spider in the shower is like,
oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, that was so long ago, man. That's 20.
It's almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Oh man.
So we have a couple comments here. Mike saying another factor: both defenses are probably tired after 4 quarters, so you can take the ball first and let your defense rest some more. That's a really good point too.
That's a fair point too. Yeah.
Yep. So asking, do they have spelling bee competitions in Russia? I probably not. I mean, like if every word is spelled how you pronounce it, then maybe that, you know what, they probably have like pronunciation bees because like they have these like 20 letter words and it's like I don't know, it's like maybe it's like it's tough for me because like I was learning the language like as like late teens / early 20s guys, so like I don't know, maybe it's tougher for me than it is for kids, like because there are kids are made to like learn quickly like that, but for me, like I see this 20 letter word, I'm like, oh my god, like let me try to say this, and then like I'll eventually get to it, but it's like it's ridiculous how long these words are in Russian.
Walter's just being modest. He's a 3-time Russian spelling bee champion.
Right.
I was in sixth grade and seventh grade, so 2 separate years. In the sixth grade spelling bee and the seventh grade spelling bee, I got third place both years. So I was, I'm something of a wordsmith myself.
Nice. I was once in a spelling bee, but I lost in the first round.
What was the word?
I don't know. I was in sixth grade. I don't know. I can't remember. It's all a blur. I think I had stage fright because I was the first time I was ever on stage. Actually, that's not true because I used to play the piano and I used to do recitals. That was terrifying. Even though it was in a room of 20 people, it was still man, I hope I don't screw up, But yeah, and then then obviously I did a lot more in front of people. But Mike saying all I know the P in Russian is really an R in English, or is it the other way around? Yeah. The P is an R. It's it's based on the Cyrillic, right? It's based on the Cyrillic alphabet. And then there's a backwards R in Russian that is pronounced Ya in English, or just it's just pronounced Ya. It's a little weird. It's not like the Romance alphabet that we know of, the English and Spanish and French, etc. They say English is the hardest language to learn. It's easy for me. Yeah, easy for everyone here, I guess.
Well, maybe not everyone. You see, what's weird about spelling and grammar these days? I'm surprised when I see it correct. When I see correct spelling and grammar.
Yes. It's usually some of the tougher ones that people don't know is when I hear someone say the correct between farther and further, I'm always oh, that's I always say sometimes they'll be oh, nice farther or nice further, and people will be oh, I just guessed.
Which one I have seen a lot more is instead of oh, I should have done that. If you're not going to use a contraction, people say should of OF, it should have.
Yeah.
But I always see people write should of OF. So I don't know. I mean, I guess, words spelling, I guess has evolved over time. I guess this is just part of it. I don't know. But also, I mean, people are also going to use the excuse, it's shorthand, it's online, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. I hope, as previously mentioned, I'm a wordsmith and I hold myself to a higher standard, damn it. So, but the other one, sit and set. I will sit down in the chair, SIT. Some people, and it might be maybe geographically, a dialect, the people be set down, SET. That's not something I ever ran into. I remember seeing that in English books in high school, ninth grade English. And then it wasn't until years later, sometimes you do hear people say that, let me sit down here.
Huh. I never heard that before. I was set down.
Yeah, I had never heard it until I don't know, pretty recently, but I remember reading it in the English books. What the honk is this? But I don't know. Not that and as I get older, I always thought myself as a good writer, But I think as I get older, I'm just getting dumber. So people look at a word, and you're wait, is that spelled right? It's kind of, I don't know, just embarrassing just to me, but. I don't know. I'm getting dumber every day, so I shouldn't sit here and judge other people's grammar. So I digress.
Well, of course, there are some people who go, the offense do look good, or their offense got debacled, or
oh, the lose and loose. I do. Yes. I do not get that. Oh, I can't believe you guys are going to lose. It's no, we're not. That's so, I don't know. I just never, that's something I saw come on in maybe the past 5 to 8 years a lot. I see loose all the time instead of lose. So.
No, and the people will be you're a looser. You are because you don't know how to spell it.
Yeah, I'll tighten up a little bit. A looser. Yeah. Jeez. Anyhow, all right.
Yeah. So he says, if he was such a champ, there certainly would be a framed 8x10 certificates behind him for all to see. Well, you guys don't have access to my entire room. It's could be in front of me for all you know.
Yeah, that's of all the accolades that Walt has, that's it's not going to be frame worthy in this shot. There's not enough space. There's a lot of things. So
yes. It's there's a bunch of posters and stuff like that. So I'd what's funny is that I have a Star Trek The Next Generation poster, and it's autographed by Marina Sirtis, who played Counselor Troy on Next Generation. And in the middle of it is Captain Picard. I'm sure you guys all know what Captain Picard looks like. He's like a bald man. And my son, right, Patrick Stewart, yes. My son will come down here sometimes, and he'll look at the poster and be like, "Pop, pop." And because like my father-in-law is a bald man in his 60s, and so like he looks like Picard, and so like my son thinks it's his grandpa on the poster.
That's funny.
Just on a random poster with like other people. It's like he's right in the middle of it.
That's pretty fun. Yeah, John Sanders. I don't get. Yeah, I could care less. I couldn't care. Yeah. I mean, if you could care less, then you're saying you care a little bit about it. It's
right.
Yeah. You know, defense with the the white picket style. You know. Oh man.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I probably have my own version of this, so you know, I'm guilty of something on the same level, I'm sure. But hey.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, I love that. That Rick and Morty. I don't know if you've ever watched Rick and Morty. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen like maybe a couple handfuls of episodes, and I've really liked it. But you know, just some shows you don't follow up with. I feel like I say that with a lot of shows. I like to watch the same things over and over. But yeah, like, I like it. What I've seen.
Because in one episode, Rick was saying, "Take it for granted," and instead of granted, he took granite, and so and Morty is like, "Wait, did you just say granite?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "Wait, did you really think it was taken for granted?" And like, so Rick actually erased Morty's memory because of that, and so and Morty found that memory. He's like, "Wait, you erased my memory because you didn't know how to say it."
That's good. There's like a meme that instead of bon appetit, people say like bone apple tea.
Really?
Like they don't know what it's. Geez, just wait till you think the culture wars are bad. Wait till the grammar wars start. That's there's like I said, I never see. I feel like I see the incorrect ways more than the correct. So I mean, I guess what is correct and what isn't anymore. No. What is anything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know, like how to say like who and whom. It's a big one. They just don't know. Farther. I was saying before, like people really don't know that one.
But like your and your, like
that's easy. Like it's if you can make the contraction.
The theirs and the yours are the ones that you see. Like I hardly ever see those correct. I'm surprised when those two especially.
Yeah.
Like I could like the whom, like I probably actually might mess that up from time to time, but like I know that one, but like that one, but like to me it's the theirs and the yours. But you know, who am I? I'm just a guy that plays video games, so on TV.
It's the trick play offense. Is the trick offensive play hook and lateral or hook and ladder? I always thought it was hook and lateral.
I always thought it was the hook and ladder. Wait, hook and ladder is the fire department. Is it not? Wait, no, you know, I never understood. Let me tell you, and it's probably something really obvious, and you're all going to make fun of me, but you'll do that anyway. Remember, like the old school, like the Statue of Liberty play. You know how they used to say it? Like, what is that? It has something to do with the formation, right? I never knew what that meant. And I mean, I guess I could just ask Google, but you know, here we are. you know what I'm talking about, though?
Yeah.
Or I mean, like you've heard this like, oh, the old Statue of Liberty play, like they said it in the old horse and buggy days of football.
Yeah, it was like I mean, it's basically like trick play. So it is hook and lateral. It's not hook and ladder.
I think I thought it was maybe. Geez, maybe I'm one of these people. I did say I'm getting dumber as I get older too, so. I admitted it before any of this came.
Yeah, I was
to make a comeback.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know how much time we want to devote to grammar, but
yeah. Sorry. Let's keep going.
So okay. Mike says I don't think the 1 point safety discussion could be top, but you guys are doing it with the grammar.
Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Mike. Thanks. Yeah, you know me. I could probably go off on any tangent for any amount of time, but yeah, let's move on here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on like if you're? I don't know how often you do this, but I do it a lot. Where like I I just pick fights with people on Twitter just for fun. And like usually they're dumb people, and they'll make a grammatical mistake, like loose or whatever, and I'll be like, I'll be like, no, it's not tighter, and so like they'll be like, what, and so they'll just not know. But like, what's your thought on like people who are like, oh, if you correct people's grammar, it just means you don't have an argument, you're just correcting their grammar. Like, I don't know. I feel like
I never would have thought that.
Yeah, I don't know. I always thought that like
that's the angle, like that they're like, oh, like they're like grabbing at straws for like a comeback, and like they're hanging their hat on that. That never even crossed my mind. But yeah, I mean, I guess maybe.
I equate that too is like if you're on trial and like you're like the lawyer will bring in like people who like make you look good, like character help, or the other side will like try to character assassinate. Like that's what I feel like, because like if you're arguing with someone and like their grammar is just terrible, you're like, how can your point be right if you can't like correctly use the words of your own native language,
No, and I agree 100%. I mean, I think there's like like a small percent like margin of error where like just due to like from a pure like standpoint of percentages, like someone like you or I could like make just like a typo or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some of that, but like when it's consistently for sure, like one is excusable, like one mistake and like something long is like okay, that could just be a one-off thing. But no, agreed. Like if it's consistently off, it's like yeah, like I wouldn't. I guess it would make me go in with a bias of sorts for sure, like in reading the statement, whatever it was. It's just like, I don't know, like it just doesn't seem, I mean, and that's why it's so important to be able to articulate yourself in life, I guess. Yeah. So, but anyhow, I digress.
Yeah. All right. So any other thoughts on Super Bowl 58, or do you want to go forward to 59? Because we did 59 futures with Jacob, but there's one development that I wanted to talk about, but I don't know if
let's get into it.
Well, Jacob and I talked about how we love the Bears at 40-1, and I think you're in the camp too. They're really impressive down the stretch. After they got Montez Sweat, their defense really improved. They got their defensive backs back from injury. And then Justin Fields came back in week 11. And ever since then, like they're really competitive in almost every game, except for the last game against Green Bay. But I think we saw that the Packers were much better than people thought they were. So, anyway, we like the Bears a lot at 40-1. And then today I was actually like looking at this live and I saw the movement like in real time. The Bears went from 40-1 to 50-1. They like fell. And I'm like, I think this is news on Justin Fields maybe going to the Steelers, because there was a report today saying that Mike Tomlin is a huge fan of Justin Fields. And it sounds like the Bears are going to draft Caleb Williams at number 1. So I think this is like a reaction to a rookie quarterback being there. But honestly, like, I don't know. I think I'd be more comfortable with Caleb Williams, even though he hasn't played an NFL snap yet. He's so talented. And I know that like no rookie quarterback has ever gone to the Super Bowl, but like it was so close a couple years ago with Brock Purdy, and like this Bears team is so loaded that like I see like 50-1, and like I was gonna bet 40-1, and like now I see 50-1. So I was pretty happy to see better odds there.
Yeah, I'm definitely on board with it too. And in fact, if you remember, I did a Quacky's Corner a couple months ago, where and I'm sure this isn't up. Well, maybe it is, but I'd be surprised if we're up yet. The exact matchup Super Bowl. I like the Bears and the Jets narrative. I bet you could probably get that at pretty high odds, because I think that would be an interesting narrative. In like I mentioned months ago, will Aaron Rodgers' dominance over the Bears continue? So I think that it's kind of a narrative that's like maybe most people wouldn't think of until it happens, and be like, how sometimes that happens in hindsight. You're like, oh, like I didn't think. I don't know, and definitely, granted, if the Jets stay, I mean, geez, could you imagine the Jets, like their defense played so well at times this season? It's like, could you imagine if they had like any other quarterbacks, like any other, certainly it would be an upgrade. So assuming they stay healthy, like, they're definitely going to be in it too. So like, I don't know. Like, do you think like Bears and Jets could be like, do you think that could be like 100-1, or am I a little too lofty here? I mean, we're just pulling numbers out of thin air, I suppose, but.
what was I know you bet this one. It was like Rams Bills, right? You bet that one?
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember what that was?
I don't. I could look at now. Where's my? I don't even know where my phone is. I could look it up, but I can't remember. I think it was. I want to say it was. Well, no, because Rams to win the Super Bowl was 50-1, was it not?
Yeah, well, it was like 66-1 at one point, but I think when you got that, it was like 50-1 or something.
Yeah,
and the Bills were like 12-1 or 10-1. I can't remember. I got them at 18-1 at one point, but they quickly fell. So anyway, well, I don't know if you're gonna look it up, but like I can answer some of these comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mike Zimmer hire makes me like the Cowboys a little. Yeah, I could see that, but like if it's Mike Zimmer being the head coach, I would like that a lot more. It's just still Mike McCarthy's there. Although, Jerry Jones has done this before. He's fired coaches in the regular season. If the Cowboys get off to a slow start, like I could see him firing McCarthy. I talked about this before. Charlie Campbell posted an article on the site during the Senior Bowl, and he said that Jerry Jones was super close to firing Mike McCarthy, and he had to be talked out of it. And he was actually going to interview Jason Witten as a head coaching candidate. Not that like Witten was going to get it, but like he would have been given an interview. I think that was just more to help Witten, try to get a job in the future. Because like there's just so many better candidates, But it's like, hey, let's get Witten's name out there, so maybe other people interview him, So I think that like Jerry's just going to do a favor to him. But still, like if Jerry was that close to firing McCarthy, then like maybe he does it, and then maybe Zimmer takes over, and I could see that. That's actually kind of interesting. Mike says, if you point out their poor grammar, you demonstrate that they are intellectually deficient, which relates to the point they are arguing. I think it's way too late to be using my brain this much. Yeah, I completely agree with that. But like I've seen people be like, "Oh, if you only focus on the grammar, you can't argue what they're arguing," and it's like, well, maybe they should just speak well, like try to use like words correctly,
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I wouldn't say that it's impossible that their point has any merit, but like if it's consistent, then it's harder for me to be like to put a lot of stock into it. I would say trying to be as fair as possible.
Exactly. Like if their grammar is terrible, like not just one mistake, whatever. If they continuously make mistakes, and it's like, all right, if you can't use words correctly, like how can I trust what you're saying otherwise? It can't take you seriously. Yeah,
so, and that's not like. I used to work with a couple people on different jobs. It's like seeing them write something. It looked like pig English. Like it didn't even look like. It's like it's not even coherent sometimes. So like, it's tough. It's tough to take that. I won't say it's tough to take it seriously because like maybe like they just have trouble expressing themselves, but like it's hard to put a lot of stock into it. Trying to be fair,
Yeah. Sue says Caleb Williams is an exceptional talent, but sloppy at the ball, especially in the pocket. The Bears have the coach to coach him up. I think Shane Waldron's okay. I was not like a huge fan of that hire, but I think I wasn't opposed to it either. So, I think, their team was good last year, with Justin Fields being like super inconsistent or injured. And I think that like Caleb Williams just is a much better talent. And like he's a better prospect than CJ Stroud, right? And like CJ Stroud took the Texans to the second round. So and the Bears have such a great sporting cast and a great defense. Maybe not great defense, but it was in the top 5 of EPA toward the end of the year. So maybe you could argue it was a great defense. Jalen Johnson, their top cornerback, is a free agent, so they'll have to re-sign him. But I mean, otherwise, like they have a lot of talent, and they also have a ton of cap space. So there's so much potential with this team. They can add an offensive lineman, they can add a number 2 receiver. Suddenly, like they're going to be looking great. So, did you find the odds on the Rams Bills?
I'm over here chuckling because I was like, you probably saw me looking up, down, left, and right for my phone. It was sitting right freaking in front of me. Hang on, I'm trying to. Wait, what's that?
You said up, down, left, right. I was like, BABA select start.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. John says all the Bills players know the overtime rules and for some reason know how to correctly pronounce Aloha Akbar. I can't pronounce it. So I'm not Tyrus. I can't pronounce it. So,
I can't find it now. This is
because you're saying 100 to 1, but when you take teams that are 50 to 1 and 30 to 1, I feel like it's got to be higher, right? Like, I don't know.
I think so too, but I'm just I'd rather err like too low, as we saw last week when I was like 90% on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
like not even close. No, I mean, yeah, I think it's probably going to be more than that, especially with like the Bears. Like, I still think that people probably don't realize they're as good as they are, and they could, maybe Williams ends up being a bust. Who knows? Like I think it's probably unlikely at this point, from what we know about him, but anything can happen, so like I would think that maybe there's probably a pretty good chance it's more than 100 to 1, but hey, what's up, Brandon? How you doing?
Did you see I'm actually kind of curious now that you brought that up about McCaffrey. Did you see his ownership?
I want to say it was like 72?
It was 72.7, yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, actually, I would have won both showcases there. Yeah, no, I think, I do feel pretty confident now thinking that Bears versus Jets in next year's Super Bowl would be over 100 to 1. Yeah. I definitely think that's more, I mean, don't go crazy with it, obviously, but I don't think it's necessarily that far-fetched as it might seem at face value. But
did you see the winning lineup, by the way?
I did not.
It's pretty wild. So Mahomes the captain, McCaffrey, Kelsey. So chalk there, and then Bucker is fine. Then he had Juwan Jennings and Mecole Hardman. How do you get to that? Solo shipper, by the way, just took down $1 million by himself. And all he did was to differentiate himself from all these people who finished second because they had McCaffrey captain, Mahomes flex. All he did was flip them, and then he got there at the end, like at the very end. He wasn't winning $1 million until the final play.
Yeah, oh my God, that's got to be. Could you imagine?
TK Boston 10-17. Congratulations. It's a terrific line. Although I really want to hear how he got to Jennings, and some of these people did as well. These second place people, like, how do you get to Juwan Jennings? He's not even like 2,000. He's 4,000, and like he's the third receiver. He's like an afterthought for most of the year. Like he just did nothing. Like look at this game log before this 19, and this happened. This 11 was with Debo being injured. Like 1.8, 4.50, 13.4. It's an outlier. 1.70, 1.80, 10.4. That Debo was out for this game too. 4.6, 2.9, 5.1, 7.1, 0.
Yeah, that's
how do you pay 4,000 for this? Like I just don't get it. Like it seems like a bad play. I know he won $1 million. Like who am I to argue this? But like I don't know. I could see Mecole Hardman at 1,600. Like, because all he has to do is score a touchdown, right? But Jennings at 4,000 is crazy. I don't get it. I know you max out this at 150 lineups. It's like the rules. If you give me like 3,000 lineups, I don't think I would have gotten to Jennings at all. Honestly.
Really?
How can you get to Jennings at 4,000? It seems like a waste of money.
I mean, if you were trying to I guess if you're trying to be super contrarian. I think this was rather contrarian. Both with the captain spot. I mean, to put, the way, because he hasn't been doing that well. I mean, not that well, as well. I mean, we were talking about that last week. And then to put, because, I guess, McCaffrey is you have to put him in this lineup if you're going to captain Mahomes, I think, for sure. But other than Kelsey, there's no Chiefs. Yeah, like for the Chiefs, there's no offensive weapons there really that you would think of. I mean, Butker is a kick. I mean, I never imagined he was going to have the game that he had. I thought for a second he's going to be MVP, like I said.
Yeah.
So, but the Hardman thing, I mean, I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that either.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game that MVS should have had. That's the kind of game I was hoping for with MVS. So.
Yeah, Brandon saying, "Can you guys believe we boosted Hardman for the win after bagging him?"
Yeah,
because like he went under. He went like he did nothing this first three playoff games. he went under his receiving yardage, which was like 13 or 12.5 every single game. And then he just had the game of his life, like completely randomly. So like I said, like Hardman at 1,600 makes sense. And he was 2.9% owned, which is like weird. Like it's even less. Like Jennings is 9.3% owned. This is like trying to hope that Debo gets hurt, and I think maybe that has something to do with it, because remember Debo got banged up a little bit, but that was closer to overtime. Like Jennings had already done this stuff, so I like I said, I don't know how you pay 4,000 for Jennings. I never would have gotten him in a million years.
Wow.
Like there's so many other better plays. I think Jennings is an awful play. Like he's not even like low owned. If he's like 1% owned, like you'd be like, oh, I'm just being super contrarian. But he's like 9.3% owned, which is I don't get this. I really don't understand. I think people are looking at this performance like, oh, he got 11 recently. Let me plug him in, and this is just such an outlier, because like this never happened. It happened once in the Eagles game. Like I said, the other double digit one was when Debo was out against Minnesota. So like if you're telling me like Debo's out, then yeah, absolutely play Jennings. But like these performances are just so underwhelming. I don't know.
I think too what's interesting is that, like, why wouldn't you take someone like McKinnon for 200 and then put like another, use what you saved with Jenny, because we saw some of the scores that he's capable of putting up.
Mm-hmm.
How many did McKinnon have? Any? If you
No, he only had like one catch at the beginning, and then he didn't do anything after that. I don't think any of these.
I guess I'm just surprised that lineup got there, because it's like I would have thought that maybe people would pay down for Jennings and then, or pay down for somebody else, that might not do much, like we were kind of talking about, and use the rest of that to get more fire. But yeah, to put Jennings and I think Hardman together is, well, hey, I mean, paid off.
Like this guy put Jennings, and Watson together. Like he had McCaffrey, he had the same build. He had Mahomes, McCaffrey, Kelsey, then a kicker, and then Jennings, Watson. So like, I guess a lot of people Jennings 9.3% owned. So a lot of people were getting to this. I would love to hear the explanation behind that, like why people thought Jennings was a good play. Like I thought it's a terrible play. Like I never even considered him. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that pass was. Man, that really kind of sucks for him. I think for sure he would have been the MVP.
I think he would have been if they had won. Probably just randomly shuffled the deck or something.
Yeah.
Bills players, okay. So Hardman is good to find.
That's good.
That's Slew says the guy must have known Jennings was a prolific passer in Pee Wee football. Yeah, like to get there, like if Jennings doesn't throw that touchdown, like how many points is that for him? He loses what? He loses his passing touchdowns, which is 4.
4 plus the passing yards.
Passing yards is about a point, so he goes down to 14 or so, which is like I don't know if he gets passed by anyone, but actually he might get passed by Moody at that point. Although I don't know how the salary works out here, but
geez, anyway. I can't believe that with Moody. Sets the record for the longest field goal gets broken later in the game. Oh my God. That really sucks. How many has that ever happened? 2 50+ yard field goals in the Super Bowl? I don't know if that's something that can be easily.
It's super rare, because something I used to bet on all the time was bet the no on will there be more 33-yard field goals for both teams. And like the no would hit like 67% of the time, like 2/3 of the time. It was like 67 to 70%, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it would hit all the time, and like it's weird, but like I didn't bet it this time just because like I thought that I just thought that there was a good chance. Like both defenses are good. I thought that the offenses might stall a lot in the red zone, so like that's why I didn't touch it this time. But like usually you want to bet no on that. But yeah, they hit 2 50-yard bombs, both of them.
Yeah, that's.
So yeah,
Jeez, it was such a strange game, like the way it played out too.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of surprised that 25-22 wasn't scoregami either, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, it feels like 22 is like you get to 22 a lot these days. I don't know why, but like I've seen a lot of 22s.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's true. Yeah, we definitely have seen like more, especially with teams going for two so much more often now. Like we've seen a lot of those numbers, like the 8s, the 11s, 19, 22, numbers like that even like 15. So yeah, I don't know. I thought there was a chance at it, but because I remember there was a bet on draft. It was 20-1 that the game will end in scoregami. It was the 13th time that scores happened, so I guess that's more than I thought.
Okay.
13th time, 25-22 happened.
Sue says uprights need to be narrowed again and crossbar raised. The long field goal success rate is getting out of hand. I can see that. Although Bills fans and Packers fans would beg to disagree. It is like it's a weird dichotomy where like some kickers are just amazing and don't miss, and then you have teams that can't find kickers who can make anything. It's just so bizarre, right? I don't quite understand how, but like there's definitely a market for kickers. So Brandon says Shanahan lost the game by not running McCaffrey again on 2nd and 5. I mean, McCaffrey definitely didn't have enough carries in that game. I made that tweet. I tweeted it out at some point. I'm like, how does McCaffrey somehow have like 10 carries at this point or something? I tweeted that out in like the third quarter. But there was like a stretch in the third quarter when the Niners kept going 3 and out like a bunch of times. Like McCaffrey had like 1 carry in those drives. It's like Shanahan just forgot about running the ball again, which is like I guess a habit for him in big games. But yeah, they had to have the defensive coordinator fall on the sword, and they fired their defensive coordinator, even though like he was like way down the list on people like responsible for the loss. Like I don't know.
I definitely too. I was surprised. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was about to say like I was not even a fan of Steve Wilkes, the defensive coordinator. He's never had a great defense. Like it seems like he's been around forever, but he's never coached a great defense. But like he was not responsible for the loss. And it's like so bizarre because the Chiefs defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, got a contract extension for the win. And yet like these teams allow the same number of points at the end of regulation. It's just so weird that like one of those guys would get a huge contract extension, the other guy would get fired. It's the same result after 60 minutes.
Yeah, that is really strange. You know what? If I was ever going to be the kicker, I'd want to be a kicker on a bad team. Yeah. Because I'd still get paid. Like, could you imagine like missing like a big field goal, like or like a very important game? Like, I mean, and I hate to bring it up because like I love those Buffalo Bills teams. Like Scott, like dude, that's gonna like stick with you forever. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way you're gonna be able to shake. Like, there will be levels of it. You'll be able to get over it slowly, but like that's gonna just like stay with you. Like, at least if you miss a game, if you're on a team that's like 4-13, you miss a game, like who cares? We weren't doing anything anyway. You still get paid. I don't know. I mean, that would be scary, man. It's like your life could be, they'll run you out of town and stuff. So I don't know. If I'd rather be the punter. You really can't mess up too bad.
I've said it. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I'm gonna get my son punting lessons. I'm gonna hire like a former NFL punter or something, and I'm gonna teach him how to punt. So at the very least, he gets a scholarship at a school with a football team. So I don't have to pay for college. And who knows? Like maybe he becomes an NFL punter and makes $1 million a year. And like the worst thing he's at risk for is tearing his ACL.
Yeah, really. I mean, how often does a kicker? I mean, or a punter? That has to be the by far the least, the position where you see the least injuries.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be scary though. I mean, you're going to see like 200, huge dudes running full speed at you. Like that's got to be scary to some extent. But like you're probably not going to get hurt. Like you can't really mess up bad enough that it's going to like change the game. Like even like I remember Matt Dodge on the Giants. He that Deshaun Jackson kickoff. Remember that game in 2010? Yeah. Eagles and Giants, and Deshaun Jackson walked it off with that kick return. And or Tom Coughlin's on the side, walking off the sidelines, screaming. You can read his lips to Matt Dodge. He's like, "What did I tell you to do?" Like kick it out of bounds, man. Well, you can read his lips perfectly. What did I tell you to do? But even then, like, that's like the worst that could happen. And that's still like on the special teams too. Like they're not going to point like right at you. So
right.
There's the least amount of liability, least chance of getting injured. There's, you know, you don't have to be in great shape. You know, you don't have to be able to bench press like 300 pounds and stuff. Just out there kicking, make like $1 million a year. I should have done that.
Janikowski is a fat slob, and he's a field goal kicker. Like,
that's right. And then you have fat Jim Miller. He was a quarterback.
Right. That's Jim Miller. Yeah. It's not as fat as hefty lefty Jared Lorenzen, but he was definitely
the late great Lorenzen. Yeah, I remember that second game for the Giants, or the third game, the year they won the Super Bowl. They beat the undefeated Patriots. He got a ring. Lorenzen got a ring.
That's right. More rings than Dan Marino. So John says, I have a signed Scott Norwood helmet because he used to hunt at my grandpa's farm. All the deer would run to the left. Nice.
Well, I mentioned that 30 for 30, the 4 Falls of Buffalo. If you haven't seen it, definitely see it. It's great. And Scott Norwood's in it. He's in it. So
Quacky would be young way Quack.
Yeah, that's me. You got.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I have like the biggest calves ever, and I don't even do anything for legs. I've actually had like sometimes in the summer, if I'm wearing shorts, I'll have like dudes come up to me like, "Bro, like, what do you do for legs?" I'm like, stand and walk. Like, I don't do anything for legs. I'm just like, I just have huge calves for whatever reason. I had one dude actually get like a little miffed with me, like I was keeping like some fitness secret. Like I was keeping some fitness secret from him. I mean, come on, dude. But I was like, dude, I'm serious. Like I don't go to the, hey, Chris, how's it going? How are you? Thanks for joining. Yeah, like, I mean, look at me. I'm not hiding any fitness secrets, you know. So I always thought I should have been like the kicker or something. Put these naturally huge legs to work, or like I could have been a good swimmer, but I mean, I could always swim. I just couldn't swim very fast.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. You kind of have to swim fast in those swim meets.
Well, yeah, but I think I wasn't using my legs properly. The legs kicking with the visual aid with the arms. But like, you know, I feel like I really could have had some power though. Unless you got power, not the calves again. Yeah, I'm telling you, I think, you know, I missed my calling probably. So.
I used to like max out on the quad machine at the gym.
Oh yeah,
yeah, because I mean I used to swim competitively, so like my legs are always super strong. And like I remember like doing that, and like, you know, I talked about how I used to practice or work out with the football team in high school, and like I was just like, and like I was not heavy at all. I was like 150 pounds. So I was doing like the same leg weight as like the offensive lineman. They're like, how's this happening? Like people, like they're so confused. I was like, yeah, I swim. They're like, oh, okay. One time, because I said this before, but like our coach, our football coach was also our swim coach, because, you know, I went to Philadelphia public school and we had no money, so they had to double up. And so one day our football coach had all of his or swim coach had all his football players swim with us. And it was like it was the funniest thing. Like, these guys like couldn't swim at all. They like sink to the bottom of the pool. It's like so pathetic. So
you know what I think is weird, and I actually, for anyone to whom this might be applicable, let me know. Like my late grandmother, one of my late grandma, like she didn't know how to swim, but I feel like, I don't know, like I took swim lessons as a kid, but like I feel like before that I knew, like, I guess my question is, and like I'm not trying to be like rude or anything, but like I feel like if I didn't know how to swim, like my natural reaction would be to like try to propel myself upwards. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, what do you, like, do people just not like people who don't know how to swim, like they don't?
I think people just panic in the water.
Panic, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and I'm not sitting here like, how could you be dumb or to not, like, I just want to know like how that works. I don't know, because I was my natural. I think, well, maybe it wouldn't be. I don't know. Maybe it is because I took swim lessons. What the hell do I know? I just play video games on the internet. Yeah, Brandon, you missed the English and Russian grammar lessons.
Yes.
This is None of this is scripted either, by the way.
I know.
So.
I know, but like we would always have these conversations on the phone, and like they would last like 5 hours. And it's like, wait, what do we talk about?
I think we had a 6-hour banger once too.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I would just keep on going, and I was like, we might as well just do this online.
Yeah. Well, also until I started doing like my sports picks, there really wasn't a reason. I mean, necessarily for you to bring me on too, I guess. But but yeah, we've been, as many of you know, we've been handicapping games together for nearly like 20, among other things, hanging out and whatnot for almost 20 years now. So
it's crazy. It's 20 years. I don't like where the
I remember. Yeah, you know how long ago that is? I remember I saw it was like a YouTube montage video of like basically like scoregami score. It was like the weirdest scores you've ever seen like in college football. And one of them was that 6-4 Penn State loss to Iowa. It was October 2004. It was the homecoming game. And I remember they showed the clip of the game ending 6-4, and I was like, what game is that? Like the footage was so grainy. And I was like, dude, this game looks old. And I was like, I was at this game.
I know.
I was at this game. And it just, it makes you feel old, man. Yeah. I don't know. I felt that way when Derek Jeter retired. I remember my first year watching baseball, and I was like, I have a lot of respect for Derek Jeter, but I was never a Yankees fan myself. But in fact, I grew up a Braves fan. But as I was telling some stories about the Braves last week, but when so for as long as I watched baseball for 20 years, and he was always there, and now he's not there anymore, and it was weird. And now he's been retired for 10 years, and it's just like that was like 30 years ago. Like I started watching this almost. It's so strange. I guess like my tank is like 2/3 full. Hopefully, we can do 2 more of those. But
Peyton Manning's been retired for almost 10 years now, which is like pretty wild because like Brady just kept going past them. And the craziest thing about Manning and Brady is like, just Brady in general. Like if you take Brady's career after Manning retired, just like say he only played those years, like that's a Hall of Fame career.
Oh yeah.
Just ignore everything else before then. Like the rivalry they had with Brady, like all those great matchups. You could just delete all of them and have Brady after Manning retired, and that's a Hall of Fame career. How many Super Bowls is that? 3 or 3, right? After he retired,
4.
He had 4 beforehand.
No. Oh no, you're right. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, because he got his 4th in 2014 against Seattle, and then his 5th was against Atlanta in 2016. That was the year.
The Bucks was 7. You're right.
Right.
Okay. Here's a good question for you, and the chat, feel free to chime in. Which Super Bowl did the Patriots get luckier in? The one versus Seattle or the one versus Atlanta?
Man, that comeback was insane. Like I feel like I don't know. I feel like most people thought it was over. I thought it was over. I know. Like I remember 24 was on after the Patriots Falcons Super Bowl, and I was like, that was actually the first football game I ever watched with Charlie Campbell because we were in Houston for the Super Bowl, and like we could actually hear we heard like the flyovers before the game and stuff like that because like we're right near the stadium. Actually, like we walked to like a Chipotle for dinner, and like we like walked past the stadium. Like that's how close we were. So I remember like watching with Charlie, but like I kept seeing commercials for 24 after the show, or like the promos, like at like 24 after the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch that. And then like when it's 23, I'm like, oh man, can 24 come sooner? Like I want to see this new show because it was like it's the first 24 without Jack Bauer or Kiefer Sutherland. So I just wanted to see how it would be. And then the comeback happened. So I think you have to be lucky to come back by 25. Whereas like the Seattle game, like, yeah, they got lucky with Seattle being dumb at the end, but Seattle hit a big play before that to get closer to the goal line. So I think they definitely got luckier in the Atlanta game, but I don't know.
I think so too, though. I think you can argue with Seattle, like the catch that was, now I can't even think of who made that catch for Seattle, that put him down at within inside the 10. Who made that? Because Malcolm Butler jumped over him. Remember, thinking it was incomplete. Oh, we got some different opinions here. This is good. Yeah. But I think with Seattle, obviously New England, like you said, got lucky with some bad play calling. But even if they scored there, they were only going to be down by 3. And there was still 35 seconds left.
Yeah.
So the game wasn't over. They definitely could have come down in 35 seconds. And I think they had at least one timeout and gotten a field goal. That's not that tall of an order. I mean, it's a pressure situation, but it's not that tall of an order for a team that experienced and with the talent that they had on that team. So there's that. I think with the Atlanta game, it's just, I'll never forget. Well, actually, before I get to that, I remember seeing this video online. The play leading up to the interception, it's this short video. These Seahawks fans, they're staring at the TV. It's like the point of the perspective from the TV, and they're like, beast mode. They think everyone's going to give it to Lynch, and they go, right, beast mode. And their faces just fall off. It's like that's not it. I remember as a Packers fan losing to the Seahawks the week before or 2 weeks prior. That hurt so bad, but I remember thinking, I guarantee you Seahawks fans feel worse after that. That was, I think because that happens so quickly, it has a different effect. It was one play and a play that's more or less inconceivable, an interception at the 1 to end the Super Bowl. That's right. Nearly inconceivable, as opposed to the Falcons thing being over an extended period of time. But with the Falcons, okay, I remember texting my uncle. I was like, well, the Patriots could still win if they did this, if this happened, if this happened, if this happened, if that happened, and all of them happened. Mm-hmm. And that's, there is, I would say for sure they got a lot luckier in that game. I mean, obviously in both games, but I'd vote for Atlanta too.
Yeah, I mean, what were you saying before? The Patriots still had a chance with 35 seconds. Maybe that's why you run Marshawn Lynch, because even if you don't get in, you take the clock down or you take their timeout away from them. So it just made so much more sense. I thought they should have ran a bootleg, play action bootleg, Wilson. If there's absolutely nothing there, you throw it away or you try to scramble. Don't throw it over the middle of the field. That's the worst thing they could have done. This is 4th down. I could understand it, but it was not 4th down. So it's kind of ridiculous.
Definitely agreed. And I think, geez, I guess the thought process was maybe Pete Carroll just kind of imagined himself, a 1-yard pass. How hard can that really be? They do it, and then in the press conference after, they're like, "What a brilliant move!" The whole world knows Marshawn Lynch is coming, and he thinks to pass it. They probably, obviously, they never thought it would end up like that. Thought it'd probably be incomplete at worst. Mm-hmm. And because if it works, you do look brilliant. It's man, who would have thought that you were going to throw it with Marshawn Lynch back there? So that's the only thing that I can come up with. That
what makes you look brilliant is just winning the game. So
yeah. That's true too.
I know. It's all downside because I
never thought of that.
Yeah, it's all downside because it could work, but either way, if it works, okay, you look smart. But if you win, if you run and it works, you look smart. But
there's no style points involved.
If you just run with Lynch 4 times. No one's going to call you out on it because that's what everyone would do themselves, right? It just Lynch just didn't get there. Everyone praises the Patriots, but if you throw and it pails, then you look like a moron. So there's absolutely no downside to just running. And yes, Lou says exactly, run the ball, use the clock. The Patriots defense want no part of beast mode. In fact, if I'm the Patriots and I know they're going to run, I probably just let them score.
I agree.
Just preserve the clock, preserve the timeout, try to win the game that way. It was how often are you going to stop Lynch 4 times? It was 1 play, sure. It was just a 4th down, and he runs. Okay, or even if it's 2 plays, but he had 4 plays to run in. You're telling me Lynch can't get a yard on 4 plays? No.
And I think to further prove that, they did that. with who was a Bradshaw in the 2011-2012 Super Bowl. They let him score. Remember he was going to stop at the one and he tipped over.
Yep.
So they've shown that that's something that they would do. So I agree. Jeez, I mean, but like the turning point that people don't mention as much with the Atlanta Super Bowl is, despite the meltdown that the Falcons had, remember that great catch by Julio Jones late in the fourth quarter? Like when that happened, that really felt like, like that killed the momentum. It's over. They got it now. What do they have? They had a sack and a holding call. It's like you got to be absolutely joking. Like you cannot be serious with this right now. I couldn't believe because that had the feeling of that play had the feeling of finality so much to me. And the plays I'm talking about that just completely stonewall the momentum of the other team. And I thought, oh wow, I can't believe they're going to hang on and get this. And so to blow it, and then to blow it even after that play, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, I had the Patriots in that game, and like I remember that catch. I'm like thinking, "Oh man, that's it!" Like it felt like a crushing blow. I'm like, "All right, I thought I'd lost already." It gave me some hope. It's like that the girl like you're going after. You like think that she doesn't want you, but like then she'll like say something to you like, "Oh my god, wait, do I have a chance?" And then it's like, and then you find out she has a boyfriend. Like, oh no, that like it didn't work out. Like, that's how it felt to me. Because like I was like, "Oh man, this comeback's gonna happen," and then Julio Jones makes that catch. Like, man, this sucks. And then, but the opposite happened. It ended up working out. So,
yeah. So, yeah, my vote's with Atlanta, but you can make the argument for both.
Yeah. John's saying, I don't think the Redskins' new owner watched that game. He's referring to Dan Quinn being their new coach. I don't know if he's seen Dallas's defense in the playoffs either. Although, I mean, the playoff loss to the Niners a couple years ago, their defense played well, but against the Packers, they were a complete no-show. When field goal range, Shanahan calls a pass with the statue at Ryan, the quarterback. Yeah, that was quite the bizarre play call. And then
they could have kneeled the ball. They could have kneeled the ball, and geez, I think that's like if you were on that Falcons team, like that probably haunts you the most. Like, oh man,
yeah.
The fact when you think about it, because I saw like a meme like that, like kneel the ball twice, kick a field goal, and you'd be up by 11.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, so what's never happened? That's never happened to me. Probably has whatever you meant. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Any futures that stand out to you? We talked about the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. Once the exact matchups come out, I'm going to be really interested to see, because I also think that Packers and Jets would be. I mean, what a storyline that would be for obvious reasons, And after we really saw the Packers turn it on, obviously I'm biased because they're my team, but I'm definitely going to keep my eye on that. Put something small on it. I would guess. Well, that'll be less than 100 to 1. I would.
You have a 23 to 1 and a 30 to 1.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean that could definitely happen, and that would be a cool. I mean, if you believe in the narratives, which I think to some extent we all do at this point in the NFL. I think that's a great narrative. That's people are going to watch that one. I'll tell you what, and everyone's going to be rooting for the Packers too. America's going to be rooting for the Packers in that matchup. That's an intriguing matchup. That's going to get some views. So hey, if you believe in that, I'll keep my eye on it.
So Brand's saying the girl thing that's never happened to Tommy.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, but I feel like that's happened. Well, it used to happen to me all the time. But now I'm married.
It has happened to us all, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. It felt like, I don't know. I like something always go wrong. Like I felt like every time I really liked a girl, like just I don't know. Something would happen where like even if it was like something dumb, like I would say something dumb or she had a boyfriend or something happened. But like I don't know. I guess it worked out, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, right. But that's the thing. I mean, I'm 37 years old and I'm single. I've never been married, so I don't know how much my dating advice is worth. But it's a lot about timing and proximity. These things. So a lot of it, doesn't work out. But it really comes down to those two things for sure. But that's definitely happened to me too. Well, I'll tell you what, nothing beats. I was thinking of this back in the day. Back in the old horse and buggy days when we were in high school. Before like cell phones, like I didn't have a cell phone yet. I didn't have a cell phone until my junior year of high school, and like 9th or 10th grade, like you're walking through the hall and like a girl passes you a note. Oh man, like there's nothing better. You're like, all right, that's we didn't have texting. Handwritten note.
I never got these notes. What would these notes say? I'm jealous.
I got a good bit of notes in school. Yeah, I know, but it would just be like, I don't know. I could say a myriad of things. Let me go next time I go up to Pennsylvania. I'll see if I have the archives in my mom's house or something in like an old shoebox. No, but it'd be like, like I like you or whatever. I'm obviously not elaborating, but no, it was nothing bad. But it was just like it was just exciting to be like, like someone likes me. It's just corny stuff that happens.
I feel like if I try to pass a note to a girl, she'll be like, ew. I don't want this note.
I don't know. I think I wrote some notes, but that was more. Or remember what the fortune tellers? Remember they had like those paper things. You pick a number or like pick a letter R-E-D, and I don't even know what it's supposed to be. It's just nonsense.
Those things always mystified me because I had no idea how people made them. I was like, wow, this is like it's so advanced. If you gave me
I moonlight as an origami teacher, so I can.
If you,
same here. I couldn't figure out how it was made.
If someone went to me and like, well, I'll give you $1 million if you can make one of these, I'm like, wow, man, I wish I could be a millionaire, but I'll never figure this out. What notes? What notes? I never got these so-called notes from any girl, so it must have been a nice time.
Well, I'm not. It's not like it was coming down with Santa's sack with full of notes or anything, but I got some. Yeah. But what if the note was in Russian? Well, I would have had to call Walt then.
Oh no! Well, first of all, we didn't know each other in high school, but second, I didn't learn how to read Russian until I was in college. I took Russian. Well, we needed a minor. I took journalism in college. We needed a minor. And I wanted Russian was one of the options. And then my grandparents, they came here in the late 70s, and they were old when they came here, so they couldn't really speak English that well. And so I thought it'd be cool to take Russian, be able to talk to them. And I used to call my grandpa every night in college. We talked on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. And it was just really cool because it seemed like every week I would get better in Russian. And we'd have longer conversations and stuff like that. It was pretty awesome.
That's really awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was really awesome. But yeah, in high school I couldn't read notes, Russian notes. So I wouldn't have been much help if you had called me. But I still would have been confused about oh wow, girls actually pass you notes. I thought that was a thing on TV or the movies.
No. That was before all the technology. That was the exciting stuff. Then you said get lost. Oh no, I hope that's not true, Mike. Who would write a note that said get lost? Unless it was done ironically.
Well, what's better? Would a note saying get lost or no note at all? I feel like I'd rather have the note because it's at least they notice you. Whereas if you don't get a note, you're so insignificant to them that they'll don't even think about you.
Well, but then I think I could argue on the other side of it. You might be like, oh, you're all excited. I'm finally getting a note and it says get lost. And then you think back, wow, the only note I ever got was it was such a letdown. But I guess that's true. That's true too. If they want you to get lost, maybe you have a chance. They notice you and you have a reason to talk to them, and maybe you could attempt to redeem yourself for whatever it is that one did or what was perceived to be done that made them feel inclined to tell you to get lost. You have a chance at least, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's an icebreaker at least. You're like, hey, well, why should I get lost? I don't want to get lost.
So I guess playing the percentages.
Right.
There's a chance. Maybe it was just perceived. Maybe they thought you said something mean and you really didn't say it. And you're like, hey, I didn't say that. They're like, oh, okay. And then you become friends. It could be just a simple misunderstanding.
Sure.
That's what I think. So.
Yeah. I'd rather have the note. As someone who didn't get notes, I'd rather have the note. Um, yeah. Luckily, I'm married now. I was somehow tricked a woman into marrying me. It worked.
Isn't it funny now with all the technology? Like, I would, if someone's like snail mailed me a handwritten note, I would be excited. I'd be like, oh, cool! Like someone thought, like, put enough thought into like wanting to like do this. Like, I would be excited about that now, even if it's
with emails. I mean, you have emails and like texts and whatnot. Actually, I dated this girl for 8 months, like the girl before I met my wife. I actually thought I was going to marry this girl. Like I was looking at. She lived in New Orleans at the time. She was going to school in Tulane, and I actually was looking at condos in New Orleans. That's how like it's kind of serious it was. Like
I think I remember this.
Yeah, I thought I was going to move to New Orleans. So, but like the point of this is that like she first contacted me via email because she was a reader of the website, and like I never met her before, never heard of her before, but like yeah, she emailed me and like she's like hey, I'm a huge fan, like, and so, like she was talking about how I used to make fun of people on NFL.com Game Center, like their stupid quotes that
I remember that. Those were great.
I know, and she used to be on there, and she's like she'd be like, hey, look at this quote, like it's funny. And so like that was her first email, and like the second email she sent was later that night, and she was super drunk, and like almost all of her words are misspelled. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because I used to do this all the time. Like I used to just like ping people on AIM and like just contacted them when I was pre-gaming and stuff like that. And like that was like the best part of the night. It was just like pre-gaming and like just annoying people on AIM, like drunkenly so. And I was like, oh man, I used to do this too. Like this girl's like pretty cool. And like we kept communicating via email and then via text, and like we eventually met. But like that's how like we used to talk all the time, So so yeah, I guess that made up for it. But like when I was in high school, I got no notes. But I guess like starting in my late 20s, I finally got notes. So
yeah, there you go. Better late than never.
Yeah. Well, have you seen Tommy's note art? Surprised to hear any girl ever talk to him.
Walt has seen some of the Quacky art. I texted you some of the Quacky art, I think, a few weeks ago. It's this is handmade quality shit we're talking here. It's good. Just don't, I always just say don't steal it and claim it as your own. It's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man. But
we had a few comments, and we can get out of here. Stanley says, hey, Walt, why the 49ers fired Steve Wilkes when they should have fired Kyle Shanahan for choking 3 times in the Super Bowl? So I like Shanahan at least got them there, like I feel like he's like a really good coach. And if the Niners fired him, I feel like a lot of teams would be lining up for him. Like I think like yeah, he's choked in the clutch before, but like so was Andy Reid in the past.
Yeah.
So, I feel like he could definitely win it. He's got them in position to win multiple times already. So,
yeah.
Right. So. Exactly. So, I wouldn't have fired him. I can understand. I was not a fan of Wilkes, like I said. So, like, I don't mind that firing. It was like, kind of bizarre though, because like he wasn't at fault for that loss.
Isn't he the security guard for the Jerry Springer show? Or that's Steve Wilkos.
Oh, I don't know.
Is that his name? Yeah, he moved on to football now.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let's keep going with the comments.
Yeah, it's a firing guy who made it to 4 NFC Championship games in the last 5 years. Doesn't seem smart to me. I even if Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt last year, like maybe they beat the Eagles. Maybe they're in the Super Bowl 3 times in 5 years. Mm-hmm. I guess that's it. John says, if the Falcons sign Cousins, what do you think the odds move to? So the odds right now for the Falcons are 50-1. I think that's kind of like a hedge almost, like thinking that they're going to get an upgraded quarterback. So I don't think it'll skyrocket or anything. I think it could move to like 25 to 30-1.
I was going to say about 30.
Yeah, I think there'll be some optimism for that, but like they could be like the same range as the Texans. I think that's fair. Or Rams are 30-1. I think they're definitely in that range, 25 to 30-1. But yeah, like I said, I think that's like this 50-1 is already baked in. Like if they go into the year with Desmond Ridder, not that they're going to, but like hypothetically, if like the season began tomorrow and Ritter is still the quarterback, this 50-1 would not be 50-1 anymore. It'd be like 75-1. Where like the Saints, like look at the Saints. The Saints are 75-1. Like the Falcons and the Saints are about even right now. Like they were like to end the year. So I think that the Falcons would drop to 75-1 if they didn't add a quarterback. So
yeah, I mean maybe I would guess about 30-1. So that wouldn't be a bad play. I mean, if you think that's going to happen, I would think there's maybe some value there.
Yeah, and I do like your narrative call with Jets versus. I like Jets versus Packers more so than Jets versus Bears. Even though I like the Bears more, I'm just saying narrative wise. I listened to this news podcast, Timcast IRL, and like he's not a football fan by any means. Like it's fun, actually funny when he tries to talk about football. Like it's like you can tell like he knows nothing about football. He's just like trying to wing it. He's like super knowledgeable elsewhere, but like about football he doesn't know. But like he was talking about how he made $100 betting the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and he's like, I didn't bet the Chiefs, I bet the narrative. He's like yeah, the narrative was like the Niners are going to go up, the Chiefs will come back. Not quite back, not quite far enough, and like the Niners would take a slightly lesser lead, and then the Chiefs would win at the end. And like that's like what he said, and like it just that's exactly what happened.
Wow.
So yeah, not that like the narrative always works, but it just like it just did this time like conveniently, and so like. I don't know if I'm the NFL. I'm like, we made so much money from this. Like, maybe we do it again. And Rodgers versus Packers would be so much.
It would be a big money making narrative, a huge one.
Yeah.
And then imagine the Packers beat them.
Yeah.
Oh, people would be so happy.
Yep.
People would love that, including me.
Yep.
But for different reasons. Yeah, I mean, because people hate Rodgers. You know, most people do anyway. I feel like
a lot of people hate Rodgers so much.
Yeah,
like
so I think that would be a great narrative, and maybe one that people will forget about because the Jets were so. I mean, obviously people are going to know they're going to be better this year, assuming Aaron Rodgers is healthy. But I kind of look for these things that like they might not like these angles that might not be at the forefront of people's minds. That's what I'm going for here. When, like, especially more like the Jets Bears one, because that's a narrative that you wouldn't really think of until it was close. Like, oh, damn, that would be crazy if like, Rodgers owns the Bears his whole career and then they beat him in the Super Bowl on a different team. It's like, it's not like, it's not a marquee narrative, but it could become one if that makes sense. So I don't know. Right. Just wanted to get his opinion. So
yeah, a lot of people have like Rodgers derangement syndrome at this point. It's like anything he says, like they go nuts. It's kind of crazy. Like saying, so Walt, when he finally met her, was she still in women's prison or out on parole? You know what? I actually, she used to live in Denver. I don't know if she's still, Boulder, Colorado, basically, but I flew out to Denver to meet her for the first time. Like, I mean, I was like super nervous and stuff like that, but like I was kind of like in the back of my head, I was like, oh man, what if she doesn't show? Like, I know she was like a real person. I knew I wasn't getting catfish because like she sent me like video, like we talk on video a little bit, but like, so like I knew she was real because I've been catfished before, unfortunately, but like, I kind of like expected her to like kind of chicken out and might not meet me. I don't know. It's just because like stuff that happened in the past, but she did. And it was like the best week of my life, basically. Just like spending it out there. It was so awesome.
She wasn't in prison on parole, Mike, but she had an ankle bracelet. So
right. Yeah, no. I mean, if anything, like her dad was like he like threatened like to call the police on me. No, actually, I think he did. Because he's like, oh, are you talking to my daughter online? And like he called me because like I don't know, he went through her phone and like and stuff like that.
Really?
And, oh yeah. Because like we used to joke because like there was this guy on Game Center called Aaron 3916, I think, or something like that. And he used to ask girls for naked pictures of themselves. He used to be like, and he used to like his grammar was terrible. He's like, "Can I have naked picture of you?" Or like he would ask that, right? And so we turned that into a joke. Like we would sometimes say that to each other, like just
right. I see what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like he went through her phone one day. I don't know why, but like he did, and he saw me like quote unquote asking for naked pictures, even though I was quoting Aaron. And so he was like, "Oh, who was this guy?" And like she told him, she's like, "Oh, I met him online basically." And so he thought I was some online creeper asking her for naked pictures, So like he called me out of the blue. It was her number calling me, and I answered the phone. And then like I hear this like guy like yelling at me. He's like, "Who the hell are you?" Like I called the police. I'm like call the police. I did nothing wrong. Like
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Absolutely insane.
I know.
Oh my god, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry.
It was pretty crazy. So
yeah. I don't Jeez, that's wild. I'm sorry that you went through that, man. That sucks.
Yeah.
Must have landed you. Yeah, really.
What's the most chill guy I've ever seen? You must have landed in unicorn, my friend. But this, I like I said, I thought I was gonna marry her. Like it was, like it got pretty serious. But yeah, unfortunately, things did not work out well at the end. Like I actually wrote about that in my book, my first book. I had a chapter called like the top five stories of football with women. And like this is like the number one. I actually like went into detail about it. So if you guys ever want to read about that sad story, it's there. It was great like at the time, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, well, I mean, I feel like most people have one. I mean, obviously things worked out for you, anyways. But I have girls like that too, where I thought, oh, this was going to be background bars in the video. No, but again, I think like the timing and the proximity like plays such a huge factor. Again, this is coming from me who has never, I'm single, never been married, so take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, but, yeah, it was the one before I met my wife. Actually, it was funny because like the timing of it, because so like we like this girl broke up with me because like she actually ended up cheating on me, and like she felt super guilty about it, and so she broke up with me. She didn't tell me why, and then she eventually did. And so like I was like you made a mistake, and like she was like I don't want to hurt you again, and stuff like that. So this is going back and forth like a couple of months, and I was talking to my neighbor, he's not there anymore, but I was telling him about it. He's like, well, you should just move on. There's so many women out there. He's like, come hang out with me tonight. We're gonna have a couple girls over. It's like it'll be fun, and like it was a good time. And then like the next night, I actually met my wife the next night, like after I heard that advice from my neighbor. So yeah, it was like I was like ready to move on. My neighbor helped me move on, so it was
wow. Oh, that I actually didn't know that part of how you met her.
Yeah, it was like the night after. Yeah, it was the night after. Did she ever visit you? Yeah. I flew her out like on numerous occasions. So, because she was in college, she had no money, so I'd fly her out. I'd drive down to the Philadelphia International Airport, which is like about 35 minutes from my house, and just pick her up and we'd hang out. Like like one time she spent like 5 days here. So.
Wow, awesome. I didn't know that's how you met your wife. That's cool, man. Jeez, you didn't it was like 2 days later. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a party at my house. And it was not one of my parties. It was my cousin's. My cousin was getting her apartment paid in, and like it was her birthday, and she's like, Walt, like could I have my birthday party at your house? I'm thinking like, I was like, yeah, as long as you clean up and everything, that's awesome, because I don't have to drive. I can just get wasted here and like just not worry about it. So, and it was all her friends. I only knew like one of her friends. This guy Paul. Like we're pretty close back then. And like we were playing beer pong, and we won like 8 or 9 games in a row. We're like we're at that point where like, oh man, we're like I want to kind of stop playing, you know. And so like these 2 girls show up. We'd never seen them before. And I'm like, you know, Paul, let's beat these girls and then talk to them. He's like okay. So we beat them, and then the girl I started talking to was my wife eventually. So
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's when was that? Was that like 2012?
It's 2013, June 2013.
Oh, okay. Wow. Jeez, that's so long ago.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, 2012 was the year I was with that girl Emily from.
Every time we come on the show, I find myself saying like, "Oh, where's the time going?" It's like I gotta stop being a damn drag. But my wife and I, as of June, will know each other 11 years, which is it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Are you an Eagles fan too, Walt? I was an Eagles fan when I was a kid. And then like when I first started doing this website, I was like, you know, I should probably be unbiased. And so like now I say, like people ask me all the time, they're like, what team do you like? I'm like, the team I'm betting on is the team I like. You know, if I'm betting on the Eagles, I like them. If I'm betting against the Eagles, I don't like them. You know, I just kind of like separated myself from that. I just I don't know. I always thought that too with most sports.
Yeah, I always thought that like if they win, like what does that do for me? You know, because like when you're a kid, like you root for it all the time. Like I'll still root for the Sixers. My dad's a big Sixers fan, and so I'll root for the Sixers just because like I want to see him happy, like that they win. Same with the Flyers, like he loves those 2 teams, and like the Sixers were the first team I ever liked because I used to watch them with my dad, and then like the Iverson years were my favorite. But yeah, like so I'll still root for them, but I'm like not crazy about it. Like I haven't watched the Sixers game this year. You know, just like I just don't. Well, first of all, I don't have time with the 2 kids, and then second, just like the regular season's so long, like one game doesn't really matter. You know.
Yeah, I mean, if they made it a deep playoff run, I'm sure you'd tune in.
I'd watch all the playoff. I watched every NBA playoff game. Just like regular season, just like such a slog. There's so many games.
No, it definitely can be. I think I've definitely been able to separate like not be biased with my team. You know, I won't get like upset when my team loses that much anymore, but you know, like I still want them to win, but I'm not devastated by any means if they lose. So, who says beer pong is for lose? Yeah, exactly. It's
the people who don't say that are the ones who say it's for losers.
Yes. I was just gonna say that too. Yeah, it's for losers, not losers.
Right.
A 17. Oh wow, that would be a 17-game regular season single. Wow.
Well, the best I thought the best NBA regular season ever was that 50-game season. You know,
199.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Every game meant something. You know.
Yeah, that was the first 8 seed ever made the playoffs. That was the the finals. New York Knicks. They lost 4-1 to the Spurs. That was the Spurs' first of their championships of their dynasty.
Right. That regular season was great. It's like every loss meant something. Where it's like now if you lose 3 in a row, you're like, we can just rebound. You know, if you lose 3 in a row in a 50-game season, it's like, we got to really turn things around here. You know.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice.
Yeah, not the game. Yeah, what a freaking legend. I love the Iverson.
He's so great.
He's one of my favorite players of all time. Other than, Michael Jordan's my all-time favorite. But my other four favorite, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady, Robert Horry, and then maybe at the top, Dennis Rodman.
Okay.
Dennis Rodman. Remember the 2005 finals when the Spurs beat the Pistons, that pivotal game 5? It was like the one game in that series that was really close. The Spurs won in 7. And they had that. And I remember Hubie Brown is like, don't leave Horry open, you know, like, hey, like, and I always joke, like, I used to joke with my uncle, like, if you're Coach Larry Brown for the Pistons, you're like, hey, guy, like the huddle right before that play, like, hey, I don't need to say this. You guys know, like, don't leave Horry open, right? Like, I wonder if but I just remember because Al Michaels was the play-by-play, and just like the way he and Hubie were like, oh, Horry, like, what? Like, they couldn't believe that he was open. He nailed it. Al Michaels, this guy is off the charts. That was the call. I'll never forget it. Robert Horry was the man. He's one of my favorite players of all time. 7 rings, 2 with the Rockets, 3 with the Lakers, 2 with the Spurs. So
that's crazy.
He belongs in the Hall of Fame. He belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. It's so clutch. It's ridiculous, and that's how the Sixers lost to the finals and to the Lakers, because like they traded for Mutombo to defend Shaq, and yet they kept double teaming Shaq. It was like didn't make any sense. Like if you're going to trade for Mutombo, just single cover Shaq and cover everyone else. But no, they'd always double Shaq, and then it would either be Horry would be open, or Derek Fisher, or
Rick Fox,
like one of those guys. One of them would always be open, and they drained the 3 every time. It's like that's how they lost.
Yeah. No, I think Kobe's one of the greats for sure, Brant. But I mean, MJ is number 1, and those 4 players. I'm not saying that I think they're the greatest of all time. I'm just saying they're 4 of my favorite players. Kobe. I mean, I like Kobe too, but like those players I mentioned were a little bit, maybe not the first players you think of when you're thinking of all the all-time greats. I mean, Rodman was. I mean, I still think Rodman's one of the all-time greats, but he wasn't a scorer, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I've never seen a player before or since like Rodman. I mean, you knew he was going to give it his all, and it's just he was so much fun to watch. What a great player. But
yeah, it's if you ever want to laugh, look at Rodman's like rookie card. Like he looks like a normal person, like the tattoos, like no hair coloring. It looks like normal. And then I don't know what happened to him, but he changed quite a lot.
They made a 30 for 30 on him. I think it's just called Rodman. It's a good one.
I remember that.
It's a good one. All the 30 for 30s are good.
I can't do it because it's ESPN. I know some of them are good. I can't support it. I can't support ESPN.
Well, you're not really into documentaries, anyways.
No, I'm not. But I'll say this. I don't know how many people have seen this, but there's a documentary on Netflix called My Octopus Teacher.
I've heard that it's really good. I haven't seen it though.
Dude, it's so good. I don't like documentaries. Trust me, this was insane. Like this guy basically is a deep sea researcher. He actually befriends an octopus in the ocean, and you see their relationship grow. It's oh my god, dude. It was there's some tearjerker moments. It was oh my god. Wow. Watching that kind of it left such an impact on me. I had to tell everyone about it. It's one of those things.
Wow, I've heard it's good, but I'll definitely check it out now. Yeah. I just watched this true crime on Netflix. It's called Lover Stalker Killer. Ooh, I mean, I'm big into true crime, and that threw some twists at me even I wasn't ready for. It's really good. As soon as I watched it again right after. You almost have to. It was really good. But yeah, I'll check out Octopus Teacher for sure.
I feel like I've told you to check out a million things. Have you checked out any of them?
I'm busy watching the same shows over. Okay, but before next week, I will watch at least one. Hold. I will do it.
How about this during the summer? You watch an episode or 2 of Game of Thrones, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And then tell me which episodes, so I can watch them too. Just
so you can prep. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. All right. No, by next week, I will.
Watch the first 2, unless you hate the premiere, and then you can stop. But
okay.
If you like it, just watch the first 2 or something.
Sounds good. We'll get it done. Okay. I will watch them.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll hold you to it. So, all right, we're coming up on 2 hours, so maybe we should say goodnight. It's almost almost 2 a.m.
Yeah, I do have to be up for work eventually. So
yeah. All right, guys. Thanks so much for commenting and watching and everything. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Tom, for coming on. I love these Thursday episodes with you. I never know where it's gonna go. I didn't think I was going to bring up my relationship with Emily and talk about that, but and not getting notes in high school and everything like that, and talking about grammar, but that's where we went. So
yeah, for those of the viewers here that watch my video games, well, yeah, and you're one of them. You've seen my streams. It's you never know what. I mean, I can come up with. I pull plenty of rabbits out of my hat when it comes to conversation topics, so that's what makes it fun, at least for me. So.
Yeah. Sue says I checked out the complete history of Russia to Tetris music. Good stuff. Yeah. Look up that video on YouTube right after. It's so good.
Okay. I'll check that out.
And then the red wedding. Yeah, it's something that happens in season 4. Season 4? Oh, season 3. Season 3. Yeah, that's quite crazy. Waiting for super chat and rubles after that. Yeah. Super chat and rubles. We've got like what 50,000 for like a cent. So.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. Was a excuse me. Then you got the get lost notes. Oh, jeez. I hope that's not true, Mike.
No. Well, no. Definitely check out My Octopus Teacher. So good. Anyway, once again, thanks guys for watching and everything like that. We'll be back. I don't know if Saturday or we'll definitely definitely at some point next week. Jacob is not going to be on Tuesday. He's going to be on vacation. So I think I'll just break down my mock draft or something like that. So we'll be back on Tuesday at the latest. We might be back Saturday. So thanks guys. Good night to everyone. And have a great weekend, and talk to you later.
All right. Thanks guys. See you later.
Bye.